therefore I can support it. I'm for this trail. I think it's a huge economic boost. I think I see them all over. When Jolene and I go, we see them all over, and they are used. I think they're used by a lot more people than is being given credit. But I also understand some of the concerns. But there again, I don't want Lamar's to be liable for some section of ground down by him. I think that's absolutely wrong for us to do that. That's my concern here, guys.
The approval of joint engineering, that's approving the concept again, and then I would negotiate with those two firms to bring back to you for your approval a written document that you can either accept or not.
But then we've got a lot of cost in there already for them to bring back.
Doesn't cost us anything to get the proposal. And I'm just doing them congruently, that's all.
Okay.
And you wouldn't have to approve the engineering contract, Clark, until the development agreement is also before you.
Yeah, and just to confirm, the cost incurred thus far has been Plywood Trail, nonprofit dollars.
Yeah, absolutely, everybody's aware of that. There was a cost to do the route location design, and that was 100% picked up by the Plywood Trail group, and it's already bought and paid for.
And I think one of the things what this is asking for, and Scott will correct me if I'm wrong, is just the either the yay or the nay to get started. I mean, we're kind of okay. We can do this, we can do that, but I don't have any direction on what to do, so to speak. I mean, and to involve two other law firms and two towns and whatever, even if Sioux City gets involved in it too.
I think they could.
There's a city attorney down there I'll have to end up talking with and everything else. And if I don't sense that there's council approval, then why
Absolutely,
do all?
absolutely. Can I ask a question? Maybe nobody here can answer this, but I know I went down to a Simcoe Board of Directors meeting in Holstein the other day, and I took Highway 59 from Cherokee to Holstein, and there was considerable bike traffic on that highway, and it looks like a designated bike trail. Do you know, is it? Or does anybody have a clue if that is?
There's a lot of roads in Iowa in general that share the road, and so the bikers are expected, maybe Mark could speak to that better than I could, the bikers are expected to share the road with the vehicles. I'm not even going to begin to cite how many accidents occur under that scenario. When Donley Hogeveen gave his contribution to Lamar's Area Betterment Foundation, he stood right at that podium and he told you about his incident near Kingsley where he was run off the road. Yep. And so he gave a sizable check to us because he feels the value of having a separated trail, separated from highway or roadway traffic.
Scott, I was actually going exactly what you're saying, okay? Because I'm pro-trail. I also listen to Mr. Pick and I understand your concerns, but I also know that how many times have I been on a county road and I've come over a hill looking into the sun and there's two bikers. So I think if everybody would get together and say, well, how do we work this through, but I want it well thought out. I don't want the city hanging on it. I've done enough talk, so I support this whole thing.
Maybe just add bullet point number 4. That says Plywood Trail and or other representatives need to meet with all the adjacent landowners. Doesn't mean that they're all going to agree, but they've got to have an official meeting and a map on a wall somewhere to say where we think it's going to go. And then I'd make the motion to do 1 through 4.
I think I could support that, right?
Is that okay with you guys? Is that okay if we at least have a meeting to tell where it's going? We at least can start the conversation, and if nobody likes the conversation, that's okay, but at least we gotta have the conversation.
To be honest with you, I'm not sure they know where the trail's gonna go.
Well, but that's
Very
why,
honest with you.
that's why I want four on
To answer
this.
your question,
It's the rumors.
it's all rumors, truthfully. I mean,
I can support that, Rick.
they got somewhat of a plan laid out, but as far as where it's gonna go and everything, I don't know.
Well,
The lining the cart with the horse here has been a struggle for us. Do we go to the public before we have any governmental approval to proceed with this project? And I said, absolutely not. That blame goes on me. In 30 years, I have never operated that way, and I'm not gonna start with this one. We've gotta have authority for the project first, then we go to the public and say, okay, here's what we wanna do. Because without the government's authority, we don't have any authority. And so that's where I'm
But
at.
if we would approve 1 through 4, that being the fourth item,
That's a good suggestion.
then we can have the map here, just like the DOT does with their deals and says, nope, that ain't gonna work, because this is where this guy turns off or whatever. At least we can get that information out, right?
Yes, who officials would be there? Because it just can't be us. Would there be somebody that?
I'm sure that we'll be there. I'm sure some of us will be there.
That's good.
Okay.
We'll have to somehow coordinate the meeting because we're gonna do 1 through 3. So if we're gonna do 4, we better be part of 4.
There'll be some designated people that will visit with
Some of
you.
us can get, and just bring your rotten tomatoes or whatever and throw them at us if you don't like it. But at least we'll be there. But we'll be there.
Ryan, is that agreeable?
Yes, that is an agreement.
It makes sense. It makes
Thank
sense.
you. Yeah, I was just gonna add to Scott's comments, the only thing, another, to his point, reason for not approaching landowners is the whole notion of, we have several drafts of this that are, but by the time the ink gets dry, we have a different version of it.
That's-
I understand, but I mean,
There's
at
different
least let's
pieces of
just
it.
give them something today. If it changes by the 4th of July, changes by Labor Day, at least we can say what changed. But we can at least have a meeting sometime in the next 30 days or whatever and have everybody figure it out, right?
How do you want the fourth one next? We get-
Fourth one, is we're having a joint meeting with the landowners adjacent or congruent to the trail by officials of Plywood Trail and governmental representative individuals.
With the said purpose of just informing.
Informational meeting only. And try to answer questions, I guess.
Okay.
second the motion.
Okay, motion made and second to have a joint to have a meeting regarding the number 1, 2, and 3, and the fourth one, a joint meeting with the landowners, informational meeting only, as soon as we can, right?
Yep.
Is there a second?
Kim did it.
Motion made and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to number 2, which is in the action items, Lamar's Public Library renovation, bid package number 2, awarding the contract. Lamar's Public Library renovation, the council has set this as a date to consider the bids for the library renovation, bid package number 2. Bids were received and opened on Tuesday, April 25th, 2017 at 10 a.m. Recommendation will be made at the meeting scheduled as previously stated. The plans and set the public hearing was supposed to be March 21st, the bid package on 1, March 21st, the bid package on 2. The public hearing is April 4th on both of them. The bid letting is April 17th on bid package number 1, and bid package number 2 was April 25th. And bid package number 3 was going to be May 31st. The award contract was April 18th, May 16th, and June 20th. The start construction April 28th, May 12th, June 27th are ordered. And the end construction was June 15th on the bid package number 1. The bid package number 2 is September 15th, and the bid package number 3 was September 15th. The funds from the sources are as follows: the private donations, the library funds, the grant funds, the Red Leg loan, and the lost funds. I will say this, at the last meeting, I forget what the date was, the last council meeting, but the bids did come in, and they were quite higher than what we anticipated. And at that time, the council tabled the whole program. So here we are back, and Scott, I'm going to turn it over to you to share with us where we're at and what we're going to do.
Okay, before you should have a 4-page document that at the top of it on the cover sheet should say financial performance. And under the uses column, you awarded bid package number 1 at the $97,400. The bids came in for bid package number 2 at $424,058. The next number on bid package 3 is still an estimate because we have not gone out for bids. That got tabled at the last meeting 2 weeks ago. So that bid package number 3 is currently being estimated at $211,000. And then there's a number of components that are carved out and are optional within that bid. And you'll hear about that at the next item on your agenda. Jason has done an exhaustive search for contractors to do the asbestos abatement, and it looks like the low bid out of 2 has come in right around $20,000. I think it was actually 19 something. Ryan Wilchin, our CM, is indicating that the general conditions, that those are the things of cleaning and spotter pots and just a number of things that are ancillary to the project that a general contractor would normally do, are estimated at $20,000, and we're going to just pay for that as we incur it, up to that amount of allowance. The AE contract with FEH is $60,000. The CM contract with Ryan is $39,000. We think we need to put contingency allowance in there at $30,000, and we think we're going to have relocation costs of about $20,000. That's the combination of moving the existing books over to the Eagles, paying the Eagles for the rental payments, paying for utilities over there, etc. So we're estimating an aggregate of $20,000 for all that stuff. So we have a project cost estimate at this point by going over at $921,458. Excluding the general conditions, the contingency allowance, and the relocation costs, the earlier estimate given to us by FEH was right at $700,000. So if you take the general conditions, the allowance, and the relocation, that's taking off 70. So we're in that range of about 175,000 too strong. So it got rightfully delayed also, although I was unable to put any time in it myself because I was A, out of town, and B, getting some treatment. So anyway, I was incapable of really analyzing this for you 2 weeks ago. And we needed some time for FEH and myself, as well as the library board and the library staff, to all put their heads together to do some VE on the project, value engineering. A first allotment of value engineering was given to us by Toy Sullivan of FEH, and that's on your 3rd page in. There's 18 items on there, and we talked about them, Ryan, myself, and Toy, and then Toy had subsequent meetings with the library board and library staff, and it came back that, you know, we're being pretty aggressive with that list because it actually changes the scope, the character of what we're building. So on the 4th page is a revised list of more minor cost-saving items that would not have a gigantic or serious impact on the scope, function, and operational characteristics of the building. So we're thinking that, that list of 6, and there's a few subsets to it, as you can read for yourself, but we think that list of 6 are possible to keep on the table for reducing costs. So we asked Ryan to go back and just ballpark estimate without going to the bidders, because that's not exactly the procedure that the city follows. We have to first award a contract, then we negotiate. So Ryan estimated it at 20 to 25,000 savings. 4th page, 6 items. In addition to that, if I point out one of the items on the first list, number 17, no painting of the full exterior of the building. I tend to support that yet. The reason I support that one is the building, as it turns out, has a form of stucco on the exterior, and it turns out that that stucco has asbestos in it, at least what Jason found out. The painter, that is the low bid painter, is unwilling to put paint on that substrate. The painter has to clean it. Cleaning involves at least high pressure washing, if not other things, and is unwilling to do that. So we have a glitch there. We can't really honor the bid for the painting with the substrate unless we get rid of all of the asbestos on the exterior of that building, and that comes with a fairly sizable estimate, $25,000. So although the paint is only $11,000, getting rid of the asbestos to put the paint is another $25,000. You're looking at $36,000. I would contend that the condition of the exterior of that building has been needing repair for some time, as is evidenced by especially the canopy, and even for that matter, the parapet on that north and east side that receives the canopy. Pieces of that is falling off. Therefore, pieces of the asbestos are falling off. That's not good. We need to do a repair to the exterior of the building. I would venture a guess it's more economical, or at least as economical, for the city to put an EFS material over the top of it. Concealment in an asbestos abatement terms is 100% acceptable. Most of our schools, Lamar's community, I know for a fact, as well as Galen, they've concealed asbestos. They didn't remove it all. They concealed it. I think we could easily do that on an exterior of this building.
We also gain in energy. There's a benefit.
Thank you, Clark. As if you know, EFS, Drive It, Synergy, all the rest, those products put a insulating board on, which is the substrate to the compound that is smeared on top. So anyway, that's a sidebar. Sources of funds, some of which you've heard before, but we've had a couple of successes since we've talked about this, I think. Private donations at this point is essentially cash in hand, $322,000. The Carver grant was given to the city. We didn't make a huge deal out of it, but if you hadn't heard that, that $60,000 is cash. We did make application to Lamar's Area Betterment Foundation for $200,000, and they didn't say yes, they didn't say no. They parked it off to the side and said if they have savings on the first 10 projects, or if they generate funds over and above what we need for the first 10 projects, they would strongly consider this project. Dick and John are on that. You guys can chime in if I'm misstating that. But that's, as I understand it, I'm only a liaison. I think that's their position on it. So I believe the $200,000, although deferred for some period of time, is good. Now, I'm taking a little liberty there, so John, you chime in. They didn't say yes, they didn't say no.
Correct.
And so I think there will come a day, I'm a betting person, I would bet on the come. I would bet on the future that that will be achieved.
Well, I might just share with you on that, Scott, that as you know, our overall goal, we've hit the $5 million, right? And our go, and roughly, looking at 7 years out, am I right, John? Is roughly $7 million. I guess what I'm saying is, I don't think we got the 200,000 sitting here today.
Nope.
But over a long period of time, the way this community has stepped up and we can possibly reach our goals down the road, I think it's doable, but I don't think it's doable right now.
Agreed. And that's where the next one comes into play. Red leg, we've had probably going on 5 red legs in Lamar's, Iowa, thanks to Northwest REC. We've used them for a variety of things, mostly industrial park, but it was also eligible for this library, believe it or not. It's a USDA program. And USDA caters to small communities. Lamar's in that breath is still a small community. And so we're eligible for a new red lake, and the Northwest REC board has authorized us to apply for a new red lake loan to the USDA. We did that, and 2 weeks ago it got acknowledged at the USDA that they have received it and that it's under consideration. What it comes with is a total maximum amount of $360,000, as I put on the sheet. 0% interest over a 10-year period. So, given Dick's comments and my wishy-washy statement about the 200,000, we have a little time to wait for funds to be raised and granted to us by the Lamar's Area Betterment Foundation, and then that money could be used to pay the loan, at least a portion of it. And at least that's my financial performance to you today. And that's what we set out to do a month and a half ago when we applied, is that let's use the red leg to get the money today because we want to do the project today, and let's patiently wait for the grant funds, using the grant funds to pay the loan back. Okay, going on. In order to apply for the Lamar's Area Betterment Foundation, as well as the red leg, as well as the other grant,